Welcome back to Sixers and Sevens Finals Week 2 review. What a weekend of footy. But before we dive into it, the newly appointed Catalans Dragons assistant coach for 2026, Mitchell Pearce.
Yes, brother. Yeah, mate. Little news today. Obviously, I'm over here in France and got an opportunity with the Catalans. So, alongside my great mate, Michael McAlorum, who was been a great Wigan player, and I played with him at France, a bit of a legend at the Catalans. He's going to be doing assistant around the defence, and I'm going to be helping out with the attack. So, mate, it's a great opportunity. And working with Joel Tompkins as well, I'm really looking forward to it. And obviously the boys are coming off a poor season this year, so it's a great opportunity to step in and try and add some value, mate, which will be good.
When do you put the coach's hat on? When does it all start?
I start November 10, so I've got about 6 weeks still, which will be good, just to get a bit of time with the bub over the next little period. But, I'm looking forward to it while I'm here. It's a great opportunity. And as I said, get to do it with my great mate Mickey, and got a lot of respect for Joel too. And Ryan Sheridan's the assistant coach, the senior assistant coach. He's been in plenty of good systems, and him and Joel will be sort of leading the way, and we'll be learning our trade under them. But I'm confident I can add a fair bit of value, brother. But more importantly, the man of the moment,
Don't try and deflect stuff off me. Don't try and deflect stuff off me because I'm going to ask you hard questions.
Hard questions. Come at me then.
You've had some great coaches. What kind of coach will you be? Obviously, assistant's a completely different role, but if you're putting yourself in the coach's ring, and I'm a bit the same, you've obviously got aspirations to maybe one day be maybe not a head coach or a head coach, who knows, but you've obviously knew this role's coming for a little bit. The quiet time for Mitchell and the time on his own, you've obviously had to make a decision to do this. What kind of coach are you going to be, and how do you see the game over there, and what will you change from probably what's happened this year?
Yeah, obviously you just nailed it. Head coach to an assistant's obviously a different role. I've done a bit of academy coaching at the Roosters, so obviously just freshly retired, did a bit of the academy stuff at the Roosters. I suppose my strengths as a player as a halfback was probably more around running sequences and skills specifically. So I focused a lot on that when I was doing the junior stuff at the Roosters. Obviously, as we both have, we've got a fair understanding on skill set around halves and majority of players on positioning and lines and stuff that we were educated on as players. But I think more than anything for coaching, from my experience as a player and the relationships I had with good coaches or even assistants, it is about relationships. I think it's about building trust and understanding your players, and you got to bring love to the room. You got to bring honesty and hardness, I suppose, to an extent. Good standards. But I think it's about building relationships and trust. I think if your team's close and connected, especially around attack, and that goes hand in hand with defense as well. But I've obviously focused more on attack. I think as an attacking coach, you've got to build relationships from a coach's point of view, but the players have to build relationships, which goes hand in hand with skills and the way they work together on the field. So I think I'm good at that. I think that's what I've always brought to a footy team. So hopefully I can bring that and, mate, just give effort. I think everything comes off effort. If you can lead the way as a coach in effort, you hope your players, you can demand that from the players as well.
Yeah, well, you've got someone that will probably very similar to the way that you played, very in some contexts. Likes to have his hands on the ball, pretty good organiser, takes control of kicking in Toby Sexton coming. Are you excited about that? What's your first message to him going to be?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing working with Toby. I think the big thing is getting into seeing what the group's like. The playing group, there's a lot of change this year, so there's a few players that have. It's a great new group that they've got over, especially the expats. So I don't know a whole lot about a lot of the guys that are coming over, but I know Joel and that really believe in them. So I'm really looking forward to getting to know them. But I think with Toby, he needs to be the guy running the team. You know what it's like. You've played in France, you've played in England. You know that most of the success that you can have coming over as an Australian halfback is about relationships and taking control of the team as quickly as you can, because the transition period, it needs to happen faster than it probably does back home. As you know, you come through systems in Australia where you have respect, people know who you are. You come through the junior systems, you've got teammates that you're familiar with. When you come over and play overseas, you've got to build things quickly, I think. And as coaches, it's your job to sort of help them with that, obviously. But I think a certain type of personalities always play well or better when they come overseas. That can adapt to the game quickly and new faces, new unfamiliar voices and stuff like that, which I think Toby's perfect for it. I thought, we saw what he did all year at the Dogs and how steady he is. I think he's just a selfless player. So I think he'll do really well over here. And I think it's great for his career. He's at that age, that sort of mid-20s where he's played some really, really good NRL footy. And I think he's at a time where he can come over here and sort of hopefully keep going to that next level, finding himself. And then who knows whether he stays in Super League or finds his way back in NRL. He's got plenty of footy ahead of him. But it's
Very
exciting.
Good. No, it's exciting for him. Happy for you. And I'm sure the Catalans are very excited about it because, as you said, as what we've said plenty of times, you're a great player, but I think you're going to offer so much as a coach, especially for blokes that are coming over from Australia. You live over there, and you've been there and done it before, so they're in good hands.
Thanks, brother. And yourself? Where's that at, mate? You just said you had aspirations to coach. Tell us more. Have you got a bug at the moment, brother? Is there a bug in there? I know we speak a fair bit off air, and we speak about different things we're building, and there's obviously a lot of stuff going on, not only in our own heads but in our lives. Where's your aspirations around?
Oh, mate. To be fair, last week was probably the first part of, and it's weird to say the first part of transitioning from a player because I've been retired from NRL I left in 2015, finished professional 2018, so I've been retired a while now, but was still playing, coaching in Byron for the last 6 years. This is the first year I haven't played any footy.
6 years you're at Byron?
Yeah, I've done 5 or 6 years, yeah. So this was the first year I haven't played any football. And the bug's actually gone from the success from the success we had at Keebra on Thursday, winning the national title. And I actually expressed it to the group after. And I said, thank you, one, for the year and buying into what my beliefs are as a attacking coach, but also thank you for taking that feeling away of wanting to play footy, because I got joy out of watching a group, one, feel something, but also win and succeed. And I look back to when I was younger and I had a lot of success as a junior. I didn't have a lot of success, but when you say success of winning trophies in the NRL or overseas. But this was a really cool moment to just sit back and watch the boys. I had a tear in my eye when they won, actually. So it was because I know how hard they work and what's ahead for them. Some are graduating, some are in year 11. And the scary part is the ones that are graduating. I would love to be able to nurture them for the next 12 to 18 months, and I'll have contact with them. But their busy life, my busy life, I can't nurture a lot of them. But the next 12 months for them is a massive transition because they've had success at schoolboy level. They've had success in Queensland, Australian schoolboys. So they've got the world at their feet. But all of a sudden, the blanket of school and that freedom of not having to work and just focusing on getting to school, playing footy, being the best rugby league team possible and the best player possible, gets taken away from them because they've got life to deal with now. The big bad world, we call it, and they've got to deal with a 9-to-5 job maybe. They've got to deal with moving to Sydney, cooking their own food, cleaning their own clothes. And it sounds easy when you think about it, but it's not, because rugby league's got to be number one when you move to Sydney or wherever you go to. All of a sudden, it could drop down the pecking order to number 5 because you've got to find a job and you're maybe struggling with money and you're not getting the right sleep or the right nutrition because sometimes you just can't afford it for some of these kids. And that's just reality. So I'll be doing the best I can over the next 12 months trying to support them boys, and it could be just support by having a phone call, or if I'm in Sydney catching up with them having a coffee. But it's been really cool, and there's not so much of a coaching bug. I enjoy the assistant side of stuff. I think a head coach or something like that is probably many moons away. As you know, I've got a little boy on the way, and Lion's nearly 5, or he'll be 5 when the new one's due. So there's plenty of time to spend with family. But I never say never about trying to get into a system one day. But yeah, there's some exciting things happening. But I enjoy just being around the younger tier coming through and giving them some knowledge around development and trying to actually break down rugby league in the simplest form. That rugby league is not that complicated if you teach it that way. I think a lot of people teach it, make it complicated, and put all these different puzzles in their head, where really the end goal is by completing, staying in their game, keeping the ball away from them as much as possible, and having the ball in your hands as much as possible, and creating space. Kieran Foran spoke about it so much in the podcast we've done with him, and I've took so much away from that when I teach younger halves about what their actual objective is when they're going into the line. They're not worried. You shouldn't be worried about 4 wide or 2 deep. It should be about what's in front of you, and that's that square, that 10-metre square that's inside and outside you. And if you can put them 2 into space, there's freedom out the back, obviously, then. Or if then these guys aren't in space, there's freedom out the back. So it's been good, and I'm still learning that. And I think this would be a good thing for you, is to be open-minded, because we think we know so much about the game because we're great players, but there's so much more to coaching. Just the setup of sessions, small drills that you have to fill in to fill the session. It's not all about tactical and getting to a position on the field and playing footy. You've got to obviously get the 30 minutes of skill before the session even starts, and that becomes daunting sometimes because you forget so much of it because you're just in your zone of, okay, the poles are out, I know what I'm doing. Well, now you've got to set the poles up, explain the drill and things like that. So much to learn, but that's why we're here, isn't it? We're learning, and it's an exciting phase.
Yeah, I love what you said there about letting go. I think that is definitely a part of coaching as well, though. Like, I think when you retire, we speak about reboot. You just spoke about you finally let go a bit about about playing. Like, I still feel like a couple of years after is letting go, and I think definitely coaching or mentoring it's a letting go, isn't it? To be any service to other people, it's letting go of your own needs and offering and learning skills how to communicate, isn't it? I loved how you put that, because it's funny as a player when you retire. We speak about retirement, transition, all these type of things, which is the journey we're on. There is a sense of letting go, isn't there, and a new skill set and everything you do. Like, it's funny when you're younger, you come through and you go, I'm going to play first grade and everything will make sense. Or I'm going to get married and have kids, and then everything's fantasy. Or I retire and I'll just kick back. Every stage you go through, there's a new feeling of lessons and letting go. Like, it's fucking crazy, but
well, it's how you talk to them too. Like, I went down to Lennox Head on Saturday to run the water for our under-16s Titans, which is some are on contract to the Titans, some are trying to, the first time putting on a Titans jumper on Saturday, and a lot of them kids were picked from schoolboy stuff that they've had success. There's about 4 or 5 Keebra kids. There's kids from Rockhampton. There's kids from all over come together. They're in camp at the moment. After this, I'll jump in the car and meet them at Parkwood for the camp today, and then they play Melbourne tomorrow. But just talking to them group about the way I talk to oppose how I speak to the boys at Keebra, because I've been with the Keebra group for 2 years now. Some of these boys haven't met me or understand the way I try and put it. And they look at you to say, oh, what are you actually saying? So I'm looking forward to that next part of being in different groups, actually building groups up. So, like, watching them on Saturday, I was like, there's so much growth. I was talking to Matt Keating after it, and I sent him a message. I said, the good part of it is there wasn't some great parts of today, but there was some stuff that's got so many more levels that they can grow on. And it's just the simple side of things. Not everyone's got ability. It's how you create that ability and put it together to make a team successful. We'll always have the genetic freak, the kid that can pass the ball and kick on the dime, things like that. But it's about putting the pieces of the puzzle together and then trying to create success out of that, trying to make them into a team unit, because at 16 you're still trying to, one, impress what's on the sideline, impress your parents, impress yourself, be the best player in the team. But sometimes it's about how you put your best football into the group collectively so everyone has success.
It must be hard as a young kid coming through now, eh? Like the way the game's evolving, when you just said about putting white noise outside, like they got that, especially from your club at Keebra, you got all these boys that have got managers pulling them one way, promising them different things, clubs telling them how to play. There's a lot of noise going on in junior footy now. Like you said, to galvanise them and just give them one direction. At the end of the day, all that white noise, doesn't matter what grade you're playing for. You can have all the distractions, but at the end of the day, you got to play for the team and fucking get your job done. You know, and I just feel like there's more of that, more and more of that now coming into the game with managers, and this club wants you, this club wants you. Like you just said, kids moving from Queensland to Sydney, never lived away from home. All of a sudden, they discover temptation. It's all part of it, but it is. There's way more to it than just playing footy, isn't it? And I suppose that's the thrill that you get in Keebra. You see it firsthand in school footy, because you're seeing guys going through those transitions daily. You know, family problems. You know, fucking, as you said, temptations, moving away from home. You know, not everyone handles that stuff. So, and you see the best NRL clubs, they know how to. It comes from the boss, doesn't it? He spoke about what kind of coach you're going to be. Well, the head coaches, the best coaches I've ever had are like a father figure, and they make you feel comfortable and safe, and you want to follow them, you want to learn off them. You know, that's the best sort of systems when it's a family feel, I think. I'm sure school footy's the same.
Our first game of the two games of the weekend was the Raiders and the Sharkies at GIO Stadium. The Sharkies 32 over the Canberra Raiders 12. How did you see this one, and was it a shock to you, this scoreline?
Mate, I'm not a Canberra fan, Toddy, and I know you are. I was a bit disappointed. I don't know why. Just as a neutral footy fan, just because I feel like Canberra, and you deserve what you get. Like, they didn't win, so they don't deserve to be in the next game. But I don't know, man. Just the footy that they played all year, it was heartbreaking a bit. And I'll get to Cronulla in a second, full credit to Cronulla, but I think Ethan Strange out killed him. Like, Sticky wasn't going to come out and say that in the press conference, or the media kind of tippy-toed around it a little bit because you can't have excuses, but that's a huge blow. And I reckon going into the way they played, it cost them badly. You know, we're used to watching Canberra, a team that moves the ball to their outside backs, or playing off second phase, getting the ball wide. They were lucky to play a two-pass sequence in the first 30, 40 minutes. Like, it was just all short ball off the 9, trying for an offload. Fogarty would play short, then they'd kick. Like, it was really, really predictable footy. And they were lucky that they started with good intensity. I thought the first 30 minutes, they were fucking brutal. Like, little Starlo come up with that big contact. They were in the fight. Big Red obviously got that try, taking over 6 players over the line. But, like, the attack was just, they weren't getting enough creativity, and eventually it cost them for me. And I think, and I'm not going to keep harping on it, it was Stranger out. I can't put it down to anything else, because I felt like the intensity was there early. They lacked their man. They didn't have their man there. Which, losing a half going into a finals the night before a game, that's a fucking huge blow. And for me, it hurt them in the end. They hung in there, but their attack wasn't good enough. They didn't ask enough questions. And when the game mattered, the last 20 minutes, the lack of creativity caught up on them, and Cronulla pounced. That's how I saw it anyway. But
yeah, definitely the loss of Strange is massive because, one, you're not prepared for it. Usually you are prepared for it if they're sick or they're suspended during the week. But the night of the game, for it to happen, I thought Sisimi Sasangi was a great option, but I thought they played away from him. The opportunities he had when he was out the back, yes, he went through Hudson Young, stopped in the line. I thought if they'd done that more, played very similar to what they do when Strange is there. Yes, he doesn't have a left foot, a great kicking game, or I haven't seen Sasangi's kicking game. I haven't seen a lot of him, but the strengths he has is very similar to the strengths of Ethan Strange. But I thought they played to Hudson Young early and took Sasimi out of the game because they were trying to give Hudson the ball and make him come up with creativity, where I thought if they just stuck to the same game model as they would have with Ethan Strange there, with Sasangi in that position, I thought they would have had more joy, because every time they did go to him or he stamped his mark on the game, he created havoc. And as you said, they become predictable. And I thought, I'm not having an attack at Jamal here, but I thought over both finals games he become predictable. He come up with some great passes, but when he doesn't have his 5'8", he becomes very one-dimensional. He's the only indicator, so that means the defence can put pressure on him. That's a hard thing to do when you don't have someone that's going to maybe relieve you from your kicking. So your kicking's always going to come to you. And they would have said that in the sheds before the game, Cronulla. Okay, well, let's cheat and put another number over the other side where Jamal's going to be. Let's put kick pressure on him because he's going to be the only kicker. So I thought,
and they worked him over too, Toddy. They worked him over. Like there was a clear game plan. I think they were going to work him over regardless how poor Cronulla's right edge has been, and it was poor again. Like the amount of tries that they've linked down that right edge, we've been talking about on the potty heaps. But they worked him over early, and they got their joy late. Like some of their D, there was the Hines one, that early one when Hines come out the back through that beautiful pass. They had a couple late, all on that edge. So like you said, not only did he carry all the weight with the ball, which is not natural for him. I don't think he's that type of player where he can play 4 sequences. Not when he can, especially when you haven't got a 6 properly outside you. But then on top of that, with the defensive load and then leaking some points, I agree with you. He struggled in the finals for sure. Everyone's had their bad final series, so not trying to knife him, but I thought he struggled. I thought, the field goal, I'll go back to without being a negative Nancy. I thought he missed the field goal in the first semi, and then he missed that opportunity with 10 seconds to go to nail it from in front in the first semi, which would have got him home. And then I just thought there was some pretty bad moments, but we're not one to knife halves in big games.
No, I'm not knifing him. I'm just trying to obviously break it down, and it shows how important when we talk about 6s and 7s is that a 6 doesn't always have to be the indicator and touch the ball and do anything, but they've got to understand what their number 7's doing. I think they've got that really good understanding of each other's play and how they play footy, and then obviously the combination of Hudson and Ethan in that. But then when Simi comes in, I spoke about, yes, he can do similar things by carrying the ball and his pass and stuff, but it's probably his thinking, his talk, and telling Jamal when he wants it. I identify him when there's a player short on that side of the field, or if he's got freedom to kick. I thought he probably could have helped the situation too, but when you get thrust into that environment the day of the game, when you get told that you star 5 out, probably the best 5'8" this year, and the competition in patches is out, it sends shockwaves through the club because there's doubt straight away when you lose one of your better players. And Sharks probably would have smelt that. But in talking about all that, fucking you got to give credit to the Sharks. They're playing some outstanding football. And
they're good.
I think Sharks can beat Melbourne if they play their style of footy.
They've had good joy against Melbourne historically too. I don't know what
it's
stats,
a 2016 grand final rematch and a 2023 grand final rematch for the two teams playing next weekend, one Friday night and one Sunday.
Well, Cody could probably get stats. I remember over the years when we've played, probably when you were at Cronulla, they had heaps of joy against Melbourne. They've had heaps of joy. They're like, you have your bogey teams. Unless I've just got a couple of wins from Cronulla in my mind, I'm sure that I've heard Gallen that come out over the years and say that they always enjoyed playing Melbourne. So I don't know, it's a new look group, but that history sometimes plays its part in the walls, like at the club. Like when you know that you've got a team's measure, or you feel like you do, or you believe you do. Sometimes it's a little coup for you mentally, So, but yeah, Cronulla's changed their whole style. I think since we spoke about Brayley, I think we've been talking about on this show, Brayley coming out of dummy halves changed everything. I think Nico's Nico's finally found his niche in that group. You know, that running six. I think for a while there, they were sort of waiting for Trindle, waiting for Hines coming over as a big signing, hoping that he could be that sort of on-ball game manager. And it's taken them a while to click, but we've been saying it for the last 6 weeks. Their combination's perfect. I think they've got a great mix. You only have to see Nico's try when he come back on the inside. That's him, feeling space, reacting as a fullback six type of player off Trindle. The try assist where he had a short ball on the right, come back around and then out the back on the left and hit Militano. Like, that's him. That's like a 6 running 5'8" style, but he's mixing it up perfectly. But I think it's all Brayley. Once again, he ran out of dummy half from the start of the game to the end of the game. He's got all the options around the middle of the ruck now. So all the game plan's based around him, and it frees your halves up. You know what it's like when we play with a good 9. It just gives you breathing space, and that's what they've got now. And the rest of their team's unbelievable. Iro's a freak. Ramian's a freak. Their fucking back rowers are outstanding. Their pack is nearly as good as anyone in the comp.
Their wingers always find space. Mate, they play one, play
their wingers
two
are the best in the comp.
Yeah. But when we talk about Melbourne back in the day, we talk about the big 3, Slater, Cronk, Smith. And I'm not putting this on Cronulla now, but they're now a big 3.
You're calling a big 3.
No, they're a spine. They're a spine that's working together. That's what the way I'm trying to put it. Is why I'm trying to explain what I'm doing. There's connection now between them. There was a 6 and 7 that played footy, and there was a 9 that passed them the ball. Now the 9's creating opportunities for them by the things he's doing, by getting out playing footy. So now they're a spine. They're understanding each other's footy, knowing, okay, when Nico wants a ball, maybe it's not the right option just to go to Nico. I'll play eyes up and jump out and play a little bit. He's given him space. He's not just ripping the ball off the deck and going, here you go, Nico, here you go, Trindle, do your best work. He's actually creating space for them now because he's got middles going around and he's starting to change the way he plays footy, getting out, dropping blokes under. All of a sudden, that creates space for the wider players because then the defence and A, B, and C is on high alert of what Brayley's going to do. And all of a sudden, when you put high alert on the 9, the alert off Nico and Trindle becomes less because they've got to worry about the bloke with the ball first, not just getting the ball off the deck with a wide pass where they usually get. But there's now deception in the middle around the ruck. And there's always been deception, but his deception around the ruck was run. So their markers could jump out and have joy on him because if he jumps, they can get him from first marker or second marker. Now there's deception. He's going to get out and play footy, not just run the ball. So he's got so many different options he can choose now. And the joy, his best options at the moment is probably hitting Nico or Trindle because the ruck is starting to tighten up. So when the ruck tightens up, outside becomes more space and becomes more freedom. And that's when Sharks love playing their footy, when they've got freedom around their halves because their halves are the ones when they played 8 out of 10 performance, they dictate the game. And when they dictate the game, they win footy.
Oh, mate, it's a good to watch. Good style of footy to watch. Like you said, they've got a well-balanced team. They just sort of always struggled to work out whose roles were what or what style works, and they've nailed it at the right time. Like we said, there was a lot of pressure coming into the final series on the Sharks as well. I think Fitzy's led them great. Craig Fitzgibbons just hasn't said much, gone undercover about a lot of stuff. They've just gone about their work the last 8 weeks and they've found themselves in a prelim and thoroughly deserved. They've earned every bit of it. And let's be honest, they've just taken the last 2 sides out with all class and a good style of footy. There was no fluke about it. They ambushed them. They strategically outplayed the opposition, which is a lot of confidence going into a prelim. And if Jerome Hughes doesn't play in this semi, I can see Cronulla winning. I really can. Like, you would have thought with Melbourne's defence in a big game that Cronulla wouldn't have enough points. But, like, Cronulla for me now, and especially on that left edge, is lethal. Like, I think we actually have been saying it on this show for probably 3 months. There's been a few clips that you've been speaking in detail about Trindle on that left edge and Militano and the timing on their block shapes. But they run it nearly as good as anyone in the comp. So if I'm Melbourne's right edge, I'm fucking scared. I'm scared going into this finals. And I think Penrith gave us a good lesson today. If you completed a high percentage at 89 to 95% in the finals game with the attack that both these teams had, it's anyone's day.
only 2 games of the weekend, and the next one we'll be talking about is the Panthers 46 over the Bulldogs 26. And that first 40 minutes yesterday was outstanding from the Penrith Panthers. Give me your thoughts on it and your read on it.
Fuck, just too good. Just too clinical. I think Bulldogs second half sort of, we'll get to that in a bit, but I think that sort of gave us a blueprint of what their plan was to come into the game. But this leads back to Penrith. Penrith just didn't give them any chance to do anything they wanted. They just suffocated them with high completions, kicked into a corner. Dogs were constantly coming out of their own end. And then when they had the ball, it was probably some of the most clinical attack I've ever seen. Like the skill level, you know, what was so impressive, I know they do it a fair bit, but the short passing to then the block shape. So it was, a lot of the time it was coming through their middles off scrum lines, two pass or off Nathan to a middle Yowie, nice and square, to a half out the back, to this beautiful fan shape. But it was just fucking silky. Like every single pass was just out in front. They were so clinical. And it was probably the best game I've seen them play with that structure than ad-lib. A couple of times there, Nath looked really free within the system. Like there was the one when he went through on the left, threw a one-hand pass. There was another one where he threw a nice cutout ball just playing to space. Like it just, you know, that difference between playing the really system-structured footy and then the ad-lib in between. It was just, it worked out perfect for him and everything just clicked. So, yeah, they were too good. I thought Moses up front was outstanding. Their middles just got forward. And, yeah, I just think the thing for me was just that short passing, squaring up the ABCs of the Dogs. And then they had no answers on the edge. Literally had no answers. And we're talking about a team was a top 2 in defence. Like I just pulled them apart. So, but in credit to the Dogs, second half, I think it was 12-8. 12-8 scoreline in the second half. Like they could have thrown the towel in. Imagine going off with all the finals hopes and then you're going into the sheds. We've been there, you know, you're fucking down by 30. I thought to Galvin and Sexton and the leaders at the Dogs, I thought they did it. That was a good effort to get back in the game. It was just a little too late in the end. And mate, Penrith were fucking outstanding.
Yeah, they were so clinical.
Silky, smooth.
That short passing, you said, this in the sleight of hand down left and right side, the last pass, the finishes of the wingers, Totta and Alamotti, were just outstanding. They were so strong. The scary part for me watching Penrith, yes, they look so fresh. Obviously they've been around finals for a long time, so they understand what's in front of them, but they just look physically fresh. The presence of them. Usually Liam Martin looks busted and bruised, and he still does because he's got his shoulder on that strap, but their line speed in the 65th minute to the 5th minute was exactly the same. Back in Nathan's kick, relentless kick, either left or right, finds the box, and then play one. Obviously, the winger brings back play two. They're just going in the teeth of the slab defence, flying out and just pushing you back into the teeth of it. But yeah, for me, it's,
you know that freshness you speak about, Toddy. The freshness you talk about comes from confidence too, though, eh? Like when you're going into finals and you're not as confident, or it's new for you, you look more fatigued because the occasion gets to you. Where they don't get fatigued because they're so fucking confident, they're free. Like you look at all of them, there's no anxiety. And obviously, when you've won, 4 grand finals, played in 5, it's just another day in the office. But for me, that's the difference. If you looked at all the teams, there's absolutely no stage fright in Penrith. Nathan Cleary, the bigger the game at club level, the calmer and more free looks. Like it's so good to watch. But yeah, it's obviously a credit to their sports science or whatever, or whoever the coach who gets them fucking in that state of mind. Like you said, they're playing without any fatigue. And if they can go all the way to the GF and win it, what are they, the third team in history outside the top 4 to do it? So it's pretty fucking impressive.
Yeah, it's like they've always got a plan. Like listen to Nathan after the game, they asked him in the post-match press conference about what the samurai thing was he done when he scored, and he just said, "You'll wait and see." So it's like they've got a bigger picture. Like
they've manifested it.
You'll wait and see. Okay, we've got next week to see. he's probably going, okay, you'll see it on grand final day what it all means. So there's obviously something going on in that in a group which will come out whenever they finish and understanding why. But there was some clunky parts to them, but they created clunky to score points. Like Nathan threw the pass when he played 4 or 5 it was and found grass, and then they just find hands, and Toto finishes in the corner, shows some speed. The scary signs is that freshness, which is the big take I took out of it. Obviously, the clinical footy, completing at a high percentage rate and getting the job done in the way they did, but they looked fresh from the start of the game when they come out. They had pressure on them early with the kick-out charge down, but they just didn't panic. A lot of teams would panic and try and create something, but they just stuck to their guns, let Nathan go to work. And I thought Blaze Salungi was outstanding, physical yesterday, come up with some really big plays in defence. When he's got the ball in his hands, he's a run option straight away, and then he's got the slight hand to pass. Mitch Kenny, welcome back through the middle. I know Schneider will probably have a bit of a scary wait this week to see what happens with his cannonball tackle or his, what do they call it, where cannonball, where you come in from the side. It'll be interesting to see how that unfolds. But it's all warming to them. Obviously, the Broncos will be sitting there watching it last night, looking at the left side defence for Penrith, the joy the Bulldogs had, so I'm sure they'll be doing it. But that's not Broncos' natural side. They usually go the other way. So they're going to have to come up with different options. Do you go to other teams' weaknesses or do you play to your strengths? And that's one thing I noticed is that a lot of people just go to other teams' weaknesses and then neglect their strengths. And then all of a sudden they get to the end of the game. And because Penrith will have this week to prepare to get that left side D up to scratch, and then Broncos have got a week to obviously prepare to do it. Do you go with what option? And we'll talk about that in a show later in the week. But for me, I thought the doggies tried hard. I thought there's a lot of pressure on Galvin all the time, but he come up some errors, come up some poor plays, but he worked his backside off, come up some good plays, scores a try himself, sets up Preston. He continues to chase the game. The thing with him is he'll get better at his craft in the pass and understanding what's coming at him. But one thing he can do is take the game head on and go after it. He just needs to know when to slow down, when to speed up, when it's okay just to get to an end-of-setting kick. We're not always – he's got that schoolboy mentality a little bit in him still. He wants to score and create points every time he's got the ball. And that comes with time. And that also comes with the added pressure of the outside going, he's not playing well. So he's trying to think and how I do things to impress someone else, where he'll learn over time. And I thought he was really good for the Dogs yesterday, and he'll have a big off-season. I can't wait to see how Lockie Galvin comes out in 2026.
The Dogs obviously a fair bit off the top 4 sides through finals. Obviously, we talk about Galvin. It's all about Galvin. It's all about him playing his best. There's still a few more that they need, I think. Like for me, they need an extra middle. They need a big middle. You look at the best packs from the weekend. You could throw Fanua Blake in there. You can throw the Canberra beaten side with Papali, Tapine. You throw in Moses Leota. I think the Dogs lack an alpha, massive big middle that creates a bit of second phase. I think talking about their hopes going forward over the next couple of years, they talk about Galvin. I'm still unsure who their half is. There's talk about Burton now and potentially getting moved on. I don't know if it was just a rumour, but obviously if they're looking to put Galvin at 6 and Burton doesn't want to play centre. But for me, who's the half? Is it Mitch Woods? Sexton's obviously moved on. So that's an issue in itself there. But, yeah, for me, they need another big middle, a big middle to compete. Because when you get to those finals, your halves, whether it's your 5'8", your 7 or your 1, they're the architects to get you to the grand final. But you need it. Your middle's, if not just as important, one notch behind. You need a front row that's in the top 3 in the game to win a competition.
Who's their 9 next year also?
I think that's what they need
Bailey
to go.
Haywood?
Yeah, I think it'll be Bailey Haywood. They've also got Leo Thompson from the Knights going there. He's a big middle.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you there.
Good, but he's not a starter at the moment.
they need a controlling 7, and it's been evident. I thought Sexton tried hard again yesterday, but I think they need that bloke that's going to understand what Lockie Galvin, when Lockie Galvin needs the ball. Yes, he'll always go after the game, so that's going to be always there for Lockie. But they need someone that's going to be able to relieve him of pressure, get to a kick, find the sets, get the team to where they need to get to. Because when Dogs were humming at the start of the year, they were playing their style of footy on the back of someone getting them there to set up the positions for them to play their style of footy. I'm not saying Lockie can't do that, but if it's evident he's a 6.
Like he's copped some shit.
He's copped some shit.
Big year next year, Galvin.
I'm sure he'll be excited about the
half,
off-season, about fucking no one bagging him and talking shit about him just to go home refresh and get away. He fucking watching him in the huddle before the game. He's just as tall as Kickout. I've never met him in person. Yeah, he looks like a big kid. He's got so much growth, and he's got massive career ahead of him. So it'd be good for him to get away from the noise. Get the barley and put your feet up, or get to somewhere where you can just not have your phone and block out the noise. Watch the grand final in a quiet place and then work on your game. Well, that is a wrap for the finals week 2 review. It's short and sharp this time of the year because it is the business end and we only give you the best of what we've got, and that's the best of what we've got. So we will see you later in the week for our week 3 preview. 2 cracker games coming up, ready to set the stage for the grand final.